Wilson here, also known as the Goal Digger Girl. And for this episode of #GetLit, where we crush your business in less than 10 minutes, today we're going to talk about assembling your dream team. So whether or not you're starting out with that first virtual assistant, or you are in the process of building out your infrastructure so you can scale, I'm going to share with you the do's and don'ts, what I learned over the last 5 years. And I absolutely am positive that you are going to find value in this. So let's crush it together. Here we go. All right. We're going to talk about assembling your dream team. So depending on where you're on your business journey, you may be just starting out when it comes to that first VA, or starting to do some contract work, hiring a Facebook ads manager, somebody to manage your social media, or just be able to help support you inside of your coaching programs. It really depends on where you're at. Or you might be to a point where you're scaling from a few $100,000 up to $1 million, realizing that that's great. And you can make that jump. I experienced that jump. And in order to make it from, a few $100,000 up to $1 million, and then $1 million and up, it's the infrastructure, because you can only do so much, right? Depending on obviously what you do. But for most people, you absolutely have to assemble the dream team. And I have gone through making the wrong decisions with hiring, or hiring people that were more friends. So having that like weird dynamic, right, of, just it being hard to be the boss, and how do you navigate all of that? But also I've learned, I've made a lot of mistakes when it comes to assembling my dream team, because I didn't understand it, and I really wish somebody would have shared with me what I'm about to share with you. But it's also part of it. You can listen to this training and still go through and make the wrong hiring mistakes and things like that. Because some people interview really well, so they'll tell you, everything you want to hear, and then you get into it and you're like, oh, okay, they just sort of little some smoke and mirrors there, right? So you can still have mistakes happen, but this will allow you to just kind of look at it holistically, so that way you can bypass some of those landmines and be able to have more success when it comes to assembling your dream team. So the first thing I wanted to share with you is I recommend doing an org chart and mapping out what you want your dream team to look like as far as the different roles. So just go from between now and in the following year, so about a year span. So if you want to build a $10 million company, and right now you're at 500,000, that's going to be drastically different. I wouldn't do the end. I would do just over the course of the next year. What do you want your dream team to look like? So an org chart is just like what you envision, right? You have you at the top, and then you're going to have people directly reporting to you. So let's say you do have, right now you have a couple of VAs, and you're like, you know what? I would love to have a VA manager, a business manager, somebody to manage the people, right? So you have you, and then it might be business manager. And then under the business manager, you might have 5 VAs. Okay, that's an example of that. Or advertising, marketing, you might have a marketing person that handles your ads, and they handle all the copywriting and the different things. Okay, you can also hire out agencies, and they do all of that. So that's an option as well. And you want to still write that in there. Okay, so ideally, if you could just magically find the right people and the resources were there, then what would that look like? So we want to have the vision casted of what our company is going to look like when it comes to our dream team and the different roles and the things. Because if you don't do that and you just keep hiring off of impulse, so you're like, gosh, I don't want to edit my podcast anymore, and I don't want to edit my YouTubes and write all the descriptions for the YouTube videos, and I don't want to manage all of the Facebook group notifications. You get to a point where you're just overwhelmed by it. You might be making decisions impulsively instead of logically, right? That makes the most sense for the long-term game, okay? The next thing I would do is I would be clear on the attributes and character traits of who you want to work with and what are your core values. So determine your core values. I'm trying to think of some different books that I've liked on core values. Scaling Up is a really good book. It's pretty in-depth, but they do go through core values in there. But you could even Google it and just read a couple of blog posts on it. But what are the core values of you and your company? When I say company, you might go, well, I don't have a company yet. Yes, you do. If you have an LLC or you're in business, you have a company. So in your company, what are the core values? What's most important to you? Is it resourcefulness? Is it responsibility, integrity? Is it honor? What are the different attributes or core values? And then hire off of that. So if you get that like weird gut feeling where you are thinking about hiring someone, or maybe they're on your team now, and it just, something's not right. Like your gut is just like, I can't pinpoint it, but something's off here. Go with your gut, because your gut will know things that you can't logically explain. Okay. So if you're clear on the attributes and character traits, if somebody doesn't match up to that, do not hire them. Their skill set will not make up for it. It will hurt the whole entire culture of your company, the environment, and it'll end up being very taxing. Okay. So be clear on the attributes and the character traits. The next thing is hire based off of that and their ability to be coachable and grow versus what their resume says. Okay. I have hired people who their resumes looked awesome, and I was like, oh my gosh, what a train wreck. Okay. So you don't want to go off of the resume only. You can look at the resume, but you more want to go off of the attributes of it. And you might have to do multiple interviews. If you have people who work with you, have them interview, so that way you guys can compare notes and what is your intuition telling you. But hire based off of their attributes, their character traits, and the ability that you see, the potential that you see in them. And most importantly, are they coachable? You're going to find that you will have people who maybe want to do what you do, and so they are not able to do what you do. So they come in wanting to be the boss, wanting to be the entrepreneur, and they're not. You want an intrapreneur. So I heard that from one of my previous coaches, and I loved it. Intrapreneurs are people who will treat the business like their own, but in a respectful way. Okay, they're like, yes, I want to crush this. Very independent. You want that, but you don't want people who know it all and they aren't coachable. This is your company, your vision, what you want, right? So you want to hire based off that and their ability to grow. How much potential do they have? Okay. The next thing you want to do, in my opinion, is set clear expectations. I think this is so important, even if it's that first VA hire, virtual assistant. Set clear expectations before they start and make sure they know what success looks like. I just did a live on my business page talking about, setting yourself up for success next year. And that was one of the key things is, how do you measure success? Because most people don't know. I'm like, okay, well, what does success look like to you? You're like, well, lots of money. That's not a measurement. How can you just measure lots of money? So it could be, well, my success is based off the profitability of my company, and I want my company to be, say, at 35%. Okay, where are we at? Oh, we're at 25%. Okay, we know we need to increase our profitability, which means increasing revenue or decreasing expenses or both. And so now our profitability is moving in the right direction. It's very clear on what success looks like. That's typically a success indicator for most CEOs. Okay. For your hires, it could be if you're working with you're contracting out a Facebook ads manager for the first time. Don't go by what they tell you on the presentation. What does success actually look like? Not, oh, we're going to handle everything for you. Why those partnerships don't go well, and I have been burned, is because no one was clear on what the expectations were. So they got in doing something, you expected something else, and then boom, it implodes, right? But if you're clear and you say, okay, success looks like you having the landing pages up, 3 weeks before we launch, having this percentage of conversion rates on that landing page. This is the cost per lead. And, we end up our ROI on the whole entire campaign is 10x, right? What does success look like? And if you don't like numbers and all that stuff, you either need to figure it out, which I recommend because I think everybody should know their numbers in their business, or hire someone that does. And that way they can communicate that to you, keep you in the loop, let you be a part of it. And that way you can ask those questions in a safe environment as well. Okay. And then the last thing is to hire slow and fire fast. Okay. I don't remember where I heard this, but I wore a badge of honor for the first couple of years of running my company that people came and, when I hired them and they stayed. Our retention, like everybody was there. I never fired anyone. No one quit for a couple of years. And I was like, yes, I'm so amazing because I've got such great retention. Everybody wants to be here. Then I got to a point where I was like, oh, wait a minute. I have grown so much. The company has grown so much. And sometimes somebody who was the right fit for you when you were a solopreneur, getting your business off the ground, is not the right person if you're going from a couple 100,000 to $1 million, or you're going from $1 million to 5 or 10, it's different people. And if they haven't grown with you, which they can, but if they haven't, they're not the right fit anymore. And that is okay. That's extremely difficult for most to look at it that way, because you're like, but Joan, I love Joan. She's so sweet. That's great. Joan knows that she has not risen up as well as she feels the gap. She feels it every single day, and she feels guilty. She doesn't feel like she's winning. She knows she's not successful. It's not helpful to keep Joan around. Okay. So you want to go slow when you're hiring. That's why I was saying, have multiple interviews, have them interview different people. I love having people do a part of the job before I hire them to demonstrate, proficiency. And so I can really see them. So if I was going to hire a social media person, I might have them produce some graphics for me to say, hey, I've got this thing. Can you make up something to see? How do they take my instruction? How are we communicating? And so if it's not the right fit, don't hire them. I'm telling you, there are how many billion people on the planet? Like, your people are out there. Okay. Hire slow and fire fast. Always go with your gut instinct. And remember, they know if it's not a good fit, they know it. They absolutely know it. It's not doing anyone a favor by keeping them around because you feel bad. Okay. So that's what I would do. If I went back through and I was assembling my dream team, I would absolutely take these steps. And you can obviously, pick and choose what I shared with you. I'd love to know in the comments below, what tip you like the most. Is there anything you would add to that you've learned over the years? I'm sure some of you watching this, you have a lot of hiring experience. I'd love to know any tips and tricks you have as well. Put those in the comments. Okay. So thank you so much for watching this. I so appreciate you. If this was helpful, make sure you hit the subscribe button, the like button, connect with me button, wherever you're watching this. I would so appreciate it. And feel free to throw this in your stories and tag me at the Goal Digger Girl. I would love to give you a shout out for doing that. So thank you so much for watching. Until next time, get lit in your business and set your soul on fire. We'll see you soon.